We are in the break room with TWU Local 555, and we are 555. I'm Eric Peterson, host of the program, and today we are continuing our Getting to Know Your Executive Officer series. We are talking to your financial secretary and treasurer, Jason Sonnabaum from San Diego. We'll talk to him next in the break room. So Jason, we prick your finger. Union blood is coming out. You have been in this for a long time.
So it's been almost 20 years with this union. And prior to that, I was in a Teamsters union at Costco for about 7 years. And my mother and father both had union backgrounds as well.
So it's been something that has pretty much been surrounding your entire life is organized labor.
It has. I've really enjoyed this union more than I did Teamsters. So, I'm glad to be here and glad to have the opportunity to represent this union.
Well, let's take us back to the early days of Jason Sonnabaum, pre-TWU 555 union advocate that you are now, an officer that you are now. Tell us where you started.
So I was hired in Oakland. I started there, and then I also worked in Portland, San Francisco. We opened that station up, and then to San Diego, where I grew up.
Why did you first start getting involved in the union?
I had been in a union previously, and I was familiar with unions to some extent, but I was always the agent that was reading through the book, trying to figure out what exactly all our rights were, and I always despised management taking advantage of the workforce, violating the rights. And so I was always in the book. I was always trying to figure out ways to protect myself and brothers and sisters at work. And so it was just kind of a natural evolution over time to want to be a rep after numerous years of just being an agent and just working that way.
So did you go like the conventional route, like, safety rep, alternate rep, station rep?
No, it was in San Diego, and I was planning on running for the elected rep position, and then Ricky had been nominated and no one else had been nominated. I felt fine with him taking it over. I didn't know him that well at the time, but I just offered to be one of his alternates if he needed it, and so I just became an alternate from there. I was an alternate the entire time. I never felt the need to run against him. I was a safety rep for a while. Decided that safety wasn't for me necessarily, but it was good to have that experience. And I was also an alternate in ops and provisioning to assist them here and there.
And then you went up for some of those above and beyond positions with the actual local as well.
So originally, and I had a background in design. I had done website design and poster design, playing in local bands and things like that years ago. And so I'd seen the website that we had at the time wasn't great, and the newsletter, I felt like the quality wasn't very good. I knew that I could do better than that, or I could assist with it. So I started pursuing those positions with the local and ended up on the education committee in addition to being the website administrator for a while and also the newsletter editor.
So the next logical step from there would be to run for elected office as part of the LEB.
Yeah, I think that's, what a lot of people do. And I did run for district rep at one point, lost that election. I didn't run at the time because I thought that my district rep didn't do a good job, but that I just felt there were other things that could be done that I wanted to see done. And not everybody, has the same idea about how or what, duties or roles, each board member should play. I learned a lot running in that election, about elections, about the positions and how, and they're serious positions and they deserve a lot of, respect and an effort to put into them.
So you're here now as the financial secretary and treasurer for brevity's sake. Can I just say treasurer?
Yeah, you can. It's funny because I've always felt that that's redundant and kind of goofy, that the title officially is financial secretary treasurer. I feel like it would make sense to just make it financial secretary since we have a recording secretary.
Okay.
And actually, I think how that started is that a lot of locals, and this one as well, a long time ago, when they're small, that's one position, right? A recording secretary and a treasurer is one position.
Okay.
So they just refer to them as the secretary treasurer. And at some point when a local grows in size, those positions get split, right? There's too many duties for both of them. And so for whatever reason, when ours got split, the treasurer position ended up with a goofy title, which I would love to streamline at some point. But until then, yes, yeah, you can just use treasurer.
Okay, I'll just use treasurer.
Right.
So what inspired you to run for this office in this year?
I think it was kind of the same thing as any of the other positions that I've ever run for. It was about bringing something to the union that I felt I could bring, that I felt wasn't being done. And that's something that, myself and the rest of the slate had in common. That's why we ran together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. And that's what I think we've already done to some extent. And we have a lot of time left to continue in that direction.
Like you mentioned, you came into the position with a pretty thick resume and also with an idea of what to do once you got here. In the Just Cause newsletter, our union's newsletter, I don't like calling it a newsletter. I think it's a magazine, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But in Just Cause, in your article, you talked about the challenges that we're facing when you took the position.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just kind of skim over those. People can go back and read those, and please do. It's at twu555.org under publications, Just Cause issue number 1. But let's talk about how you've overcame some of those challenges since April 1st.
Yeah, so basically, we've been able to digitize the approval and payment process, and also digitize the reporting process so that we have just a more streamlined structure, something that I think other locals and the international had done years ago. And now that we've been able to do that same thing, and I think that was the first step in bringing, the local kind of up to speed technology-wise. And I think too, me having kind of a background in technology, having, designed websites and being very familiar with that kind of thing benefited me a lot in being able to bring us to that point.
And it's kind of mutually beneficial because, you have a rep that'll be taken offline to work on a case for something like that. They shouldn't have to worry about chasing a check for months. If this can be digitized, it can be sped up. It's easier on you and it's easier on them.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the things too, is that we can now offer the electronic payment option. And then it just takes, one step out where we don't have to worry about the postal service delivering things or not delivering things, depending on people's, living situations and mail situations.
And what are some of the other things that you really thought, I need to get this done when I get into this office?
So yeah, one of the main things is investing, right? That's something that we campaigned on. I campaigned on specifically, something that, wasn't being done and something we've gotten done already. Obviously we're not, finished with that, but we got it done, we got it started immediately. And we've continued with that. And myself and District 3 Rep Dan Chris, who's on the investment committee along with me, I've really enjoyed his efforts. I really appreciated all his efforts in assisting me with getting the right recommendations to the board. And, it's the board as a whole that puts those into place and into motion. And we've been able to do that so far. So that's something that I'm, happy that we've been able to get to.
I don't want to glaze over what the treasurer does and the expanse of this position and the responsibility that's put on the person that runs for that position and eventually wins office. So can you talk about kind of the weight of the union can be on your shoulders at times, both legally and financially?
Sure. And the position, it oversees all financial aspects of the union, all of the approvals, all of the reports, all of the transactions. We have a policy in place, so we have to ensure that the policy is being followed, that, everything is within line and coded correctly to our budgets. That's a huge part of it, is ensuring that things are coded to the budgets correctly so that we understand where the money's being spent, where we are at in each budgetary category, and that we can give that information back to all the other board members as we move through the year to stay on track.
Because you're not only answering to the members of this union who elected you and those that didn't, you're also answering to higher entities.
Absolutely.
From the government.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I had many meetings with the auditors over these last 6 months or so to ensure that we stay within regulations and that everything is up to speed the way it needs to be.
Okay, so let's move forward now. What do you want to see come from your position moving forward? Don't give away your ideas, don't give away the playbook, but what still might need some more tweaking?
I think things can always be more streamlined.
Okay.
The name of the position is something everybody can see. There's a million things that people can't see that need streamlining, and that's just I've kind of just hammered away at things here and there. I see all the things that need attention, and I'm just going to continue to correct things as we continue to move and leave the position the way people would think it should be. Right? If you come to the position, you would expect things to be a certain way. You expect things to be in certain places, and it wasn't that way when we came in, and that's how what we just keep needing to move towards.
And that's how you want to leave it eventually.
Absolutely.
You are one of 14 votes on the local executive board. You're having to balance that huge responsibility on your part for maintaining the finances of a 20,000 person local, but also being involved in the day-to-day decisions to running this local.
And that's something, I feel strongly about that. I think sometimes when people hear it's like, oh, the treasurer, well, they just deal with the money. Every single person on this board is a part of making all the decisions, like you said. It's imperative that we all are still involved with the other aspects, right? I still need to be up to speed on all of the grievances and the arbitrations and understand what's happening in the stations because I have to vote on those things. So I can't just focus on my immediate duties. You still have to understand and listen and ask questions and ensure that you are, in a good place to make those votes and make those decisions along with the rest of the board.
That's not all. As a person on the LEB, you may or may not be the liaison to certain committees. You already mentioned that you are with the investment committee, but what are the other ones?
So I recently made the liaison to the new communications committee, and I'm really excited about that. I think for a long time, we haven't had the individuals involved in communications that we've needed to. The number of people and the specific people. And I think we're definitely moving in the right direction in that regards. Like I said, I'm really excited about having that or having a piece of that or being a part of it. And hopefully we can get the communications to where we want in this local.
And then there's also the newly renamed Legislative Awareness Committee, which is now the Committee on Political Education.
Yeah, and so I was on that committee. And I'm sure I will continue to assist with that committee and do work and lobby here and there. I'm not officially on the committee anymore as a board member, but yeah, I really look forward to the lobbying and really understand the importance of having a union voice in the room where if a legislator only hears the company's side, that's who they're going to side with. And I've seen that firsthand. And so it's really important that we have, a union voice in those same rooms, letting the legislator know, where the support needs to be with working people.
And then finally, let's not forget your baby, probably your baby and the bane of your existence, and that is the union newsletter. Just Cause, available at twu555.org under publications. Talk a little bit about that.
So when I took over the newsletter, one of the main goals was to increase the quality of it. And we definitely did that. It does feel more like a magazine than a news, something you would see maybe junior high or something. There's always been a struggle in getting the content that we want. It's always been difficult getting it turned around in time, right? Or in the time that people want it. And I think you have to write for it differently. Like sometimes people want to write for it with immediate things in mind, but due to the time it takes to get it printed and everything, like you just can't do that.
Yeah, it's got to be evergreen.
Yeah, you have to think about it a little differently. And I'm proud of the work we've done with it. I don't think, we're finished though, right? I think there is, a higher level that we can go with the newsletter, and I hope that we can continue that. And I think some of the systems that we plan on updating are going to give us more statistics through the website and different things that hopefully can give us a better insight into what the membership wants to read about or wants to hear about. And I think that can also inform the newsletter and push us in a direction that increases the readership, because that's always the difficulty in getting people's attention, right? Everyone's attention is in a million different directions, and we have to be able to provide value so that they have a reason to open the newsletter. They have a reason to listen to the podcast, right? They have a reason to go to our website. So we need to continue figuring out what those things are and how we can, provide that value to our members so that the interest is there.
How can the members help you help them? What can they do? You've mentioned a little bit, read the newsletter. Tell us what you want. How would you expand on that?
Yeah, I think just, providing feedback in general. And I think sometimes people do. People reach out with a text or an email. A lot of times the people I know who I've worked with, every once in a while would be someone I haven't met. I will reach out with some kind of feedback. But yeah, that's, the main way I think they can let us know. If you want to hear something else, you want to read something else, or you want to know about something specific, like let us know. Or if there's an article that you really liked or you really didn't like or whatever, let us know that. And nobody's feelings are going to be hurt. Like, our idea is to improve the local, improve all aspects of the local. And we need to hear from people. We need to hear from the membership.
Well, thank you very much for coming in the break room and talking to me and talking to the members. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again, because you are liaison to a couple committees, and I want to talk to every single committee at some point in time. So Jason Sonnabaum, Financial Secretary and Treasurer, thank you so much.
All right, absolutely, Eric. I appreciate it.
In the Break Room with TWU Local 555, your union's podcast, available as Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, Audible, Amazon. Follow us on social media at TWU Local 555, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, maybe Blue Sky, we'll see. And of course, our website, twu555.org. For Jason Sonnabaum, I'm Eric Peterson, and remember, we are all 555.